Hi besties, welcome or welcome back. Thank you for being here. I want to start off by saying I'm really sorry if the audio is bad in this. I don't know if it's going to be any better or worse, but my flat is incredibly echoey and I've been noticing a lot when I'm editing that it just sounds so echoey, like you can tell that I'm in quite a large open space because my flat is open plan and it's been annoying me a little bit. So I got a little microphone. I'm testing this out. The audio is really bad. I'm so sorry if I edit this and it sounds horrible. We'll get rid of it and we'll go back to the echoey, or I'll upgrade and get a better microphone. But now that that's out of the way, welcome to the first reading wrap up of 2025. These are all the books I managed to read in January. We've got 9 books here. We have had a very successful start to the new year. I've found some new favourites already in the first month of the year, so I'm so excited to share these with you. I'm not going to go into too much detail about them because I think all but 1 or 2 in here are in reading vlogs. So if you want to see my in-depth thoughts on any of these books, you can go and watch my most recent vlogs. But let's get into it. Here are all of the books I read in January. I started off the year with Quicksilver by Callie Hart. This book is incredible. It deserves every single little bit of hype that it is getting on social media. This is a romantasy new series. We have just had the announcement of the second book, which is called Brimstone, and that comes out in November of this year. We are following our main female character, who is mortal and she has no powers, or she's not supposed to have powers, but you see little glimpses of things that she can do that she's not allowed to be doing. She gets taken to the royal palace to be executed by the queen, and then finds herself in this fae realm where we meet our male main character, Kingfisher. We are following the journey of Cyrus trying to save the fae realm, essentially. Just so quick pace. Despite it being a very chunky book, I read this so fast. From the very first page, you are engaged, you are invested in the story and with the characters. I would personally change the male character's name, but that's just a personal preference. Like, having to say the name Kingfisher in every other sentence, questionable. But nonetheless, this was an incredible read, and we started off the year with a 5-star. Then I read Done and Dusted by Lila Sage. This is a cowboy romance, super tiny, so enjoyable. I have annotated the absolute life out of this. I loved every single second of this. You get right into the story. This is brothers' best friend romance. The banter and chemistry between Emmy and Luke is just incredible. I loved their romance. I loved the family dynamic. If you like Chestnut Springs by Elsie Silver, I think you would really enjoy this series. If in particular you like the family dynamic. This is the first book in the Rebel Blue Ranch series, and I'm so excited to go and read the rest of the series. I've got the first 3 books and I'm 100% continuing. Emmy gets in a horse riding accident and she's a competitive, like, world famous horse rider person. And since her accident, she's been too afraid to get back on a horse, so she's come home. She has left her boyfriend and moved back home to Rebel Blue, and she bumps into Luke, and Luke helps her get over her fear for riding horses. And the story goes from there. I loved every second of this. This was just a wonderful, bingeable read, so fast-paced, so short, so cute and fluffy and spicy, and I rated this one 4 stars. Next, I read the 3rd instalment in the Natural series by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. This is All In. Throughout this book, you are following a series of murders that are taking place in Vegas, and the teenagers in this book are recruited by the FBI to solve cold cases. The further you get into the series, the more they are brought into active cases. because they have special gifts that allow them to solve cases, essentially. This one focuses a lot more on Sloane. Find out more about her family dynamic and what she's been through. And if you are a fan of Criminal Minds, or you know who Spencer Reid is, I think you would really love this. Because Sloane, she's just like a little Spencer Reid. She's so smart. She's incredible with numbers. She uses maths and statistics and numbers as a way to cope with her trauma. Proves to be a very special skill set in the specific case they are trying to solve. This whole series is just Criminal Minds for young adults. And I have said a few times that I think I am growing out of young adult books because I'm in my mid-20s now. I find I prefer much more mature books because of my age. But this is my favourite YA series. There could be 40 books that are brought out in this series and I would read and reread every single one of them. If you have not picked this series up and you like mystery and tension and a little bit of a love triangle, and I rated this one 4.25 stars. Next, I read The Bodyguard by Catherine Center. I really struggled to get into this one at start. I was filming a vlog and I said multiple times that I wasn't enjoying it, that I was thinking about DNFing it. But you just have to give it a chance. I just needed a hot minute to get into the story. Anna is a female bodyguard and she is hired to be a bodyguard for this super famous hottie celebrity actor. But Jack doesn't want his family to know that he has got a bodyguard. So Hannah has to pose as his fake girlfriend. It took me around 70 pages to get into this, but as soon as that romance started going, it definitely started enjoying it more. But I didn't really care about anything that was going on until we got introduced to the romance. And I believe I rated this one 3 stars. It was cute, it was quick. The plot twist at the end kind of threw me a little bit. Didn't really care for it. But it was a fun read. Probably won't think about it ever again, but at the time, it was fun, it was cute, it was snappy. Next, I read Light Lark by Alex Oster. I have things to say. I hated this book. I'm so sorry. This has been so well loved from what I've seen on social media. Everyone's been talking about it. It's been the big book of 2024. Everywhere you go, if you are in the book community, everyone's talking about this book and I hated it. But let me explain why. Particularly at the beginning of this book, there is so much info dumping in a way to build the magical world. But for me, it was info dumping. There was no world building. It was just throwing information at you that felt like it was written by a 6-year-old. Like the Nightlings are from the Night Realm and the Sunlings are from the Sun Realm. There was just no imagination in it whatsoever. Don't get me wrong, the concept of this book was incredible, but it was just executed very poorly. It did feel too juvenile, and I don't think it was a me problem because after reading some of the reviews, a lot of people agree with me. The characters were very bland. You didn't have the chance to form a connection with them. They all just felt like a wet, soggy tissue. Female main character had no personality other than the fact that she has no powers. She has to go and fight in this Hunger Game-esque competition. If this is advertised as like Hunger Games, it's not. Please don't go into this book thinking it is going to be like Hunger Games. There was no fighting to the death. Stakes just were not high enough. I think it was very wrongly advertised. And then the plot twist at the end was just like, well, this character's been acting suspicious the whole book, and then you're expecting me to be surprised that they've ended up being a bad person. There is a love triangle in this. I didn't connect with it whatsoever. In fact, I didn't even realise there was a love triangle until the plot twist at the end, and I was like, oh, these characters are meant to be a romantic dilemma. No, I really didn't enjoy this whatsoever. I originally rated it 2 stars, and after thinking on it for a few weeks, I went down and rated it to a 1 star. Listen to this on audio, and I can 100% say if I'd sat and physically consumed this book, I wouldn't have gotten 2 chapters in. And I know this book is well loved, and it really hurts me to say it, but I won't be continuing this series, and I really wish I DNF'd it. 1 star. Then on a more positive note, I read Never by Jessa Hastings. This was incredible. This book is incredible. I know there's been a lot of controversy around it and people are not happy with some of the content. I did slightly comment on that in the reading vlog, which is my most recent video that went up, but I loved every single second of it. If you are a fan of Peter Pan, of the original J.M. Barrie story or the Disney movies, this is so magical. You are following Daphne, who is the granddaughter or great granddaughter of Wendy. It is the Darling Girl legacy that Peter comes for them and takes them to Neverland when they are 13. But Daphne is now 17 and Peter's still not come to claim her. But when Peter does turn up, he is older. It really surprises everyone because Peter Pan doesn't grow up. And now he's grown up. I will say this book was no plot, just vibes. I feel like that is very typical of Jessa Hastings. There's not an awful lot going on, but also so much going on, and they are basically just one big character study, and that's what this book was. If you do enjoy Jessa Hastings' writing, or you like books that are very character driven, I do think you would really enjoy this. We have another love triangle going on. I seem to have a lot of love triangles going on right now. And Daphne is basically toying with the idea of Peter Pan is her fate. That is what she is in Neverland for, to be with Peter. But she falls into the grasp of Jameson Hook, who is Captain Hook's son. And all of the characters, every single one in this book, is not at all what you would expect. Jessa Hastings just has a beautiful way of writing, and it's so descriptive. You know exactly what's going on. You can imagine everything. And she just enables you to fall in love with all of the characters, despite how toxic they are, despite how flawed they are. I loved every single second of this, and I really hope it's going to be a series, because I need more. I need closure. Jessa Hastings doesn't do closure, and I need it. And I ended up rating this one at 4 stars. I do think if I could go back, I would probably bump this up to maybe a 4.5. I loved every single second of this. Then I read Out on a Limb by Hannah Bonham Young. This has been on my TBR cart forever. I think I bought this the day it came out, and I've only just read it. And I am so glad that I did. I should have picked this up sooner. In this book, we are following Win, who has a limb difference. They call it her little hand or her little arm. And at a Halloween party, she runs into Beau, who has a prosthetic leg. That is a very big part of this book, about how the characters struggle with their disabilities and how it has allowed them to connect as characters. But Win and Beau get a little bit excited at this Halloween party. They have a one-night stand, and then Win gets pregnant. And that's not a spoiler, it's on the back of the book. This is an accidental pregnancy trope, which I honestly didn't think I would enjoy, and that is why I've been putting it off for so long. But this book was so incredibly beautiful. I was bawling my eyes out, crying for so long over these characters. And we are just following Win and Beau as they form this connection and this friendship. You're just following them trying to form a connection and prepare for the arrival of their new baby. This was the fastest 5-star I have ever given. I rated this book 5 stars at the 50% mark. I knew as soon as I got halfway through this book that it was going to be one of my new favourite reads. It's just the most beautiful, heartwarming, that I think everyone should read. And then the last book in January is The Nightingale by Kristin Hannah. I picked this up because it was the highest rated book on my physical TBR on Goodreads. This is another one that I did really struggle to get into, because this is historical fiction. It's not something I typically pick up. I've never read historical fiction before, but I was very kindly sent this. I thought it deserves a chance. I am so glad that I gave it one. This tells the story of Nazi-occupied France, and it follows all of the people who are left behind while the men go and fight in World War II. We are following Vianne and Isabel, who are 2 sisters who have very different lives. Isabel is seen as this reckless, childish, doesn't think before she speaks, girl, and Vian is a mother. She grew up very fast, so she got married, she had a child, and she's been living her life happy and married. When her husband goes off to fight in the war, Isabel wants to do more in the war. She thinks she can be an important asset and help people, but everyone's like, no, you're a woman, you don't do anything, you need to go home and stay safe. This book was so beautifully written. It really gives you a strong idea about what life was like in the 1940s, and I really didn't feel connected to any of the characters throughout this book. It was thrilling, it was exciting, but I didn't really care for the characters or what they were doing necessarily. I had maybe 20% left, and I was crying. I was crying so hard. I had the audiobook on with this because there are some French places and words and pronunciations in this book, and I don't speak French. I switched over to the audiobook. I was listening to the audiobook in work, and I was sobbing. I was crying my eyes out. People were looking at me like, what the hell's going on? Why is she crying? Just could not stop sobbing. It's beautifully written, an incredible story, and I rated this one 4 stars. So these are all of the books that I've read in January. We had Quicksilver, Done and Dusted, Bullen, The Bodyguard, Lark, Never, Malim, and The Nightingale. So those are all of the books that I read in January. Incredibly successful reading month for me. I read way more books than I usually do, and I found some new favourite authors, new favourite books. I found so many new series that I want to continue. So I honestly think that was the best way we could have started 2025. We can continue the role I'm on in February. I'm so excited to see what I can pick up next month. If you did enjoy this video, stick around, show some love. Thank you so much for watching. And if you want to see more from me, subscribe. I will see you in February. So scary that the first month is already over.